What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about the 20 or so huge changes in Warzone 2 that makes it a completely different experience from Warzone 1. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and make sure you have notifications on to stay up to date with everything going on in Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, Warzone Mobile, and any other future Call of Duty as well. As a reminder, the VOD of my COD Next live stream is still up here on the main channel. You can find it. I'll have it linked down below in the description if you want to check out the entire reaction to COD Next and the early gameplay from a bunch of creators, including myself. Now, I also posted a full match of Warzone 2. It's a good 20 minutes long from start to finish, and it would have been even longer if we had survived a little bit more, but it was still some fantastic gameplay, really showcasing everything new in Warzone 2, and my live reaction to all of that as well. Now, tonight's video is sponsored by Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked is the world's leading at-home health testing provider. Now, if you guys play games or grind content as much as me, then you know how prioritizing your health can often be a challenge. Let's Get Checked is a virtual care company allowing customers to manage their health at home, providing direct access to telehealth services, pharmacy and laboratory tests, with at-home sample collection kits for a wide range of conditions, let it be COVID, thyroid, diabetes, cholesterol, sexual health, and the list goes on. Your health is one of the most important aspects of your life, and now there's nothing keeping you from ensuring that you're always at your best. Testing kits can be delivered to you in discreet packaging, and confidential results will be available from your secure online account in 2 to 5 days after receiving the samples. Now, you can use a special link down in this video's description or the pinned comment to save 25% off all orders with Let's Get Checked. But thank you to Let's Get Checked for sponsoring tonight's video. But now looking at some of the serious changes that are in Warzone 2 that you guys probably didn't expect were going to happen. And I'm going to talk about these in no particular order, starting off with plates, satchels, and gas masks. So it did feel like there were certain areas of the map that just had more plates than others, but I really didn't have a plate problem throughout any of my gameplay. I know other creators were talking about this, so obviously it was different from person to person. But when you first spawn in, you can only hold 2 plates. So that is a huge change from Warzone 1, of course. If you find a satchel, though, then it allows you to go ahead and have 3 plates, which obviously improves your health. That's a really interesting change that I think is going to work well moving forward, but we'll see how the community reacts to that when the game does come out in November. And with the gas mask, I did come across a few that I couldn't pick up. It might have been a bug. It's totally fine. But with gas masks, they don't unfortunately have the toggle option like we just got added to Caldera in Warzone 1, where you can just grab it and toggle it whenever you want, keep it on as long as you want. That animation, putting it on, seems like it's smoother in Warzone 2, but I'm certainly hoping, as we'll talk about later, a lot of the quality of life improvements that we got in Warzone 1 are also available day 1 in Warzone 2. Now, one of the biggest changes that I know everybody's been talking about is the way looting works. So it's definitely not a looting system that we had in Warzone 1 where you can just quickly open chests and grab everything as fast as you possibly can, click the button on your controller or your keyboard. The looting is a lot like Blackout, which has me really interested in maybe the design choices behind Warzone 2. That Infinity War and Raven agree that there were a lot of things in Blackout that aren't in Warzone 1 that have been received so well by the community that they're considering bringing back elements from Blackout that we have not seen in years. So instead of having a mess on the ground of 7 weapons and 3 satchels and a bunch of different ammo, which can definitely get you killed. I mean, in Warzone 1, I've had instances where I dropped something on the ground by mistake, can't pick it back up because there's so much clutter there. So I like them getting rid of the clutter, but I just think the way that the boxes themselves are organized, the way the UI is when scrolling through items could definitely be improved upon, but I do like where they're going with it. It might be a hot take as of right now, but I do like the change. Now, when you kill somebody, though, it's kind of like Champion Hill from Vanguard, where their body kind of explodes and then all their loot just gets thrown everywhere. Their money, their weapons. So that's the only time you'll ever kind of see clutter with loot, but it won't be through just looking at random boxes in buildings or wherever you spawn. That's not going to be where you find a bunch of clutter and loot on the ground. So overall, I think even Charlie Intel said it, it's kind of like an IW8 Blackout, which means Blackout just on the Modern Warfare engine, and I'm all for that because you guys know exactly how much I love Blackout. Now, another big change that is a huge step up from the maps that we had in Warzone 1 is being able to get immersed in the environment, which means you go up to a building that maybe is a grocery store and you can loot money from the cash register. There's cash incentives when you do certain things around the map. You look at shelves in some of your department stores, there'll be plates sitting there, there'll be a gas mask. It's much better than having 7 chests in a single room. Instead, you maybe find 2 chests in a room, and then there's items you might need kind of just sitting around the environment. I mean, you can find stim shots in that first aid kit if you walk into a bathroom somewhere. That right there, at least in my opinion, immediately puts Warzone 2 far above Warzone 1 in terms of that design philosophy and in terms of really immersing us in the maps and getting a feel for the environments to make it seem like it's a real realistic approach on a battle royale. Now, you could argue that could potentially lead to some slower paced gameplay, and to me, that's fine. I mean, when they eventually come out with a Resurgence map, which has been rumored many times, to where maybe it's the size of Rebirth, I still think there will be plenty of action even with these looting changes in mind. Now, another big change is UI. Now, it looks like a lot of parts of the map are populated with these AI soldiers, which could really keep you in check. And I do like that, so that if there's ever a very dry moment in your match where you're not really finding enemies, it's getting a bit quiet, maybe you're getting sleepy, you walk into a random building and there's a couple AI bots in there that do some damage on you. You're gonna have to repair your plates a little bit. Right now, they're a little too easy to kill. They're not really that much of a challenge, and the way Infinity Ward's been pushing AI with Modern Warfare 2 marketing has me thinking that by time Warzone 2 does come out in November, the AI will be much more polished and will be even more of a challenge, but hopefully not too much to the point where people out there get really frustrated with it, to where Infinity Ward has to nerf how much damage those AI bots can do. Now, considering we played an alpha build of Warzone 2, it just has me thinking that it makes perfect sense as to why the AI was a tad inconsistent throughout some of our matches. There were some buildings where the AI was a little tough. They were doing some rolls, they were leaning around corners, using shotguns, doing some numbers on us real humans playing the game, but then there were some other buildings where the AI were walking into walls, and that's totally fair considering it's an alpha build of the game, nowhere near release. I know 2 months isn't that far away, but there's a lot of time in there to go ahead and polish a system like this. Now, we got a taste of AI over in Warzone already. We had a little bit of it in Nakatomi Plaza from Verdansk. We definitely had a whole bunch over on Fortune's Keep, and obviously in Caldera as well. So they've slowly been rolling out AI into Warzone, but the technology they use to make that UI is drastically superior here in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. Now, something big that people out there have been asking about for a long time is with water. And luckily, there's quite a few new vehicles here in Warzone 2. They're a lot of fun. I think only one vehicle is coming back from Warzone 1, which is the TAC Rover, if I'm not mistaken. But having boats in a big map like this is going to change the pace quite a bit. It's going to be really cool to see some crazy clips that happen because of being able to swim in such crystal clear water with such smooth technology that looks so damn good on PC. And I'm sure it'll look good on some of the next-gen consoles as well, but it's great to see that's in the game now because Blackout had it, and I think everybody knew once Verdansk came out that the technology that was used to make Blackout certainly wasn't the same as Modern Warfare's, but we could all imagine, we could all dream just how pretty these swimming mechanics could be in a game that's on the Modern Warfare engine, and we finally have that after all these years. Now, one of the changes that I'm still 50-50 about is the Gulag. Now, we have a brand new Gulag cutscene. The way that it works is quite simple. It's kind of like Gunfight. Instead of the 1v1s we're used to from the Gulags on Verdansk, Rebirth, Caldera, Fortunes, they're 2v2s. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible in the future we end up getting traditional 1v1 Gulags back, because he's some 3v3 ones. It's totally a possibility. I would not be surprised about that at all. But right now, the 2v2 format, the only problem I see with that is when this does come out, I could already see people saying, oh, my Gulag partner was terrible and it kind of cost me. Because even if you die, but your teammate still gets his kill, you don't come back. So you're still really relying on yourself in a way to make sure you don't die, but you also want to have it where maybe your teammate dies and the other two enemies gang up on you, because what are you going to do with that? So it could go south pretty quickly in there. I didn't have much luck in that Gulag, but I'm excited to try it again when the game does come out. There's also like a key mission in there. There's a couple things you could do in that Gulag. There's an AI soldier standing there, and he's a pretty tanky one. So if you manage to kill him, he'll drop a key, and you could then use that key and run towards the exit, and I guess skip the Gulag itself. And there's also a key you could pick up, which you could then take somewhere around the map and get some free loot from. Wasn't exactly sure on that one. I'll put a video on screen so you guys can see if anybody out there posted that somewhere. But there was a lot to experiment with when we were there behind the scenes, and I feel like time just flew by with Warzone 2. We just didn't have that much time to play it. And you know what? It's because the matches lasted so long, that's why. But I'm really curious to see what the majority of the community is going to say about this new Gulag change. Now, when we got to play Warzone 2, it was trios only with 102 players total on the map. Who knows what the final map count will be when the game is ready to release. Now, something that I'm almost certain is also going to get tweaked a little bit by the time the game comes out is the parachute cut. And I feel like I would cut my parachute, and there's a pretty significant delay when cutting it, to the point where you really wouldn't have a chance to kill somebody that you might drop on. They'll have an easy opportunity to get you. Whereas in Warzone 1, obviously, you can drop on people and your parachute cuts fast enough to where you can absolutely dominate that person. So I see that being a big complaint from the community at some point, but we'll see if they tweak it a little bit to where maybe it's balanced, right? You can't can't cut it too fast to where you can just drop on somebody and go ham, but it'll cut quick enough to where you have a fair opportunity to get into a gunfight with that person. Now we also have what's called a Stronghold. I didn't get a chance to really experiment with that when I was there, but I do know Doug from Modern Warzone and some other creators did get a chance to play around with it. I don't think it's a feature that exactly worked properly when we were there, unless it was just a bug for his game. I know there's some reports underneath his tweet that the Stronghold just wasn't properly functioning when he did it, but it's a situation where you go into a building and there's plenty of AI defense in there. You got to take them out and then you can get some cool rewards from it. I do like the idea of that, and it was rumored for a while that'll be the way you get your loadout drop. That could also be the case when the game comes out, but as of right now, it's a really cool feature that I think could truly innovate how quests could possibly work here in Warzone 2, similar to the cool quests that we had back in Blackout. Now on that topic, I know you guys want to know about loadouts, and as of right now, I just don't know if loadouts are going to be in the game. I feel like that's something that's probably still being discussed behind the scenes before the game even comes out. I don't think as of right now the plan is to have them. Just from my understanding of when I played Warzone 2, it just didn't seem like they wanted you to have loadouts in the game. I think there is some wording somewhere in a blog post that might suggest it. There's talk, of course, about something that I'm also going to go in more depth with in a second, where you can purchase custom weapons from the buy station, but that will take the place of a full loadout. I don't know if that's referring to the fact that when you do that, it kind of overrides the loadout that you might have picked up from somewhere else, such as one that you customized, and then maybe when you buy a customized weapon from a buy station, it just makes your original loadout weapon disappear, even though you should probably drop it on the ground, but maybe that's not how it works. And it does say your primary, secondary, tactical, lethal, as well as perks. Unless they have it to where, okay, now the way loadouts are going to work is that when you go to a buy station, you make your loadout there, but you have to do that every single match, because that kind of lines up with what a battle royale is about anyway, kind of using your environment to your advantage, finding what you can to survive, and kind of working on the fly a little bit. I think that will increase the stakes of Warzone 2's matches, but is a huge change to where, hey, people out there that have been used to loadouts for the past 3 years are not going to be happy with that. But if you ask me what I think, I've been saying it for the past couple of months. Look, a true battle royale doesn't really make sense with loadouts, but I also respect the fact that loadouts made Warzone a unique Call of Duty battle royale. So I'm kind of on the fence with that one. I'm like, I'm not exactly sure which one would be more beneficial, but I think to really have everybody win here, I'd say, all right, keep the feature in where you can build the weapon at a buy station, essentially, because you could just work on the fly and it would feel like a BR because you're just kind of using your environment to your advantage, the cash you could find to build certain things, but then also have the ability to at least get your loadout from maybe a stronghold, doing a little quest around the map. Maybe you don't have the buy station markers like we had in Warzone 1, but still have that option in there somewhere if you want to test out some classes that you had in multiplayer over in Warzone 2. So it's the best of all worlds in that scenario. Now we'll see what the future holds with the loadouts, but I want to say overall, the idea that you can build a weapon at a buy station just gives me a bunch of heist vibes from Black Ops 4. Where based on the money that you find in the environment, people that you kill, that will determine how good of a loadout you can build, because you have to have enough cash to afford the top tier AR or an LMG and then put attachments on it, blah, blah, blah. So I'm a real big fan of that. That's innovative for Warzone specifically, but I don't know if people will consider that a step backwards because it kind of takes the place of loadouts. I'm sure they'll talk more about this closer to release, but as of right now, I think it's a really interesting change. Now we also have ledge hanging, which I certainly believe changes the game completely. Just the way that you can mantle so much more around your environment honestly means that there's a lot of scenarios where maybe you jump off a ledge or something and you don't realize how high the jump is and you're gonna hurt yourself or down yourself. You can actually save yourself now by grabbing onto a ledge. It's a cool way to sneak up on other people. Imagine if you're running Dead Silence and you sneak around like almost a trio or even a full squad and you like lean on the ledge behind them and you could take them all out or something if you're that cracked of a player. I mean, there's so many clip opportunities I can already imagine. I can envision it right now in my mind, just how many cool things the community is going to do with this feature alone. It was a fun time to use it in multiplayer. Can't even imagine how much better it's going to be when you use it in Warzone. Now, something that I was really blown away by when they mentioned it in the reveal trailer was with the 3 circles. So instead of just having one circle collapse in to kind of get every team to one area of the map, there are 3 circles that close at once. And considering that this map is still fairly bigger than Verdansk and Caldera, I think this is a really solid change to make sure the pace of your match isn't ever a slogfest. And when you have 3 circles closing in like that, it does take, at least from the alpha build, it took 5 minutes for the zone to close, another 3 minutes for the circle to then move in. So it was a bit delayed in my opinion. I do think that timer is probably going to get adjusted for the full launch of the game. I don't think they're going to keep it that long because that was a bit on the slower side with the way the circles themselves closed in. But I think they did that on purpose so we got more time to immerse ourselves into the environment of Al Mazrah. And I also think that this will change the way third partying works. When you have one circle and one circle only, there's a lot of scenarios where you're going up, you're stacked, and all of a sudden you get third party because of the way the zone closed in. But with the way this works with 3 zones, there's a lot more opportunity to kind of have your own thing going on, and then you move to the next zone and then the next one after that. Instead of having one that kind of pushes everybody towards the same place, leading to very messy gunfights. This keeps the game a lot more organized, and I think is a really solid change for Warzone altogether. There's also the pinging system. Now, I don't think the pinging system was quite done in the build that we played. I'm gonna assume it wasn't. It was an alpha after all, and the way pinging worked was, I think, a little too simple. You couldn't really ping onto enemies or other things like we were able to do in Warzone 1. That's probably such a simple thing that they'll end up tweaking and really improving upon by the time the game actually comes out 2 months from now, because right now the pinging just really wasn't there the way we had it in Warzone 1, unless they do have a plan to just not have the same pinging system that we got in the original Verdansk. But chests were also a little too quiet in my opinion, and considering it's an alpha, that might be something they had done on purpose because they didn't want anybody to be like, oh my god, the chests are so loud, ear rape, ear rape. So maybe they just made sure that it was as quiet as possible to ensure that we were really commentating over our gameplay and talking with Chad and really figuring things out without worrying about something super loud in every single building, right? And I think them being a little bit louder would be great, not too loud, but being able to determine that, yeah, there's a chest in this building or in that corner, in that room, that's important versus not knowing where any of the chests really are and having to find them manually. Now, I think on the topic of chests and even looting, the way there's no automatic pickup for ammo types or plates does slow the gameplay down, and maybe that's really what they want here. They want to kind of slow things down a little bit and make it feel more like a realistic battle royale scenario where, you know, you're looking through your environment for certain things and you're not just magically picking them up as you walk by. Maybe that's the plan, but automatic pickup in Warzone 1 obviously ensured some very fast-paced gameplay, especially for cracked players on PC. So that's another change that I think is going to be a bit too controversial when the game comes out, to where they'll probably revert on it, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Perks, however, were confirmed to be in Warzone 2 in the recent blog post, but were not in the build that we played, and also won't be in the build that comes out on November 16th. So that's another one of those things, as I was going to talk about anyway, which is that there's a lot of quality of life improvements about Warzone 1 that I would think were kind of serving as a beta for Warzone 2, kind of just having the community test out things that they want to be in the game day one. But now I kind of had the feeling like maybe a lot of those changes, such as toggling your gas mask manually or having automatic pickup with equipment or finding perks in your loot, maybe these are things that are actually going to come post-launch. Even though we just got them in Caldera not too long ago, maybe these are things that won't be around when we'd expect them to be. Now, what's also really cool is that for the sake of the event, as Charlie Intel said, Warzone 2 was a separate application that they had to load up with its own settings. Not confirm if that's how it is during the final release, because I had certain settings when we were playing Modern Warfare 2, then they booted up Warzone 2 for us, and I noticed, you know, my input was changed, some other things were reversed a little bit, so I had to readjust my settings, which was fine, but that kind of told me, okay, these are separate entities entirely. But with the way the new UI works, you'll still see Warzone 2 at the Modern Warfare 2 menu, and you can choose to install it and have it all intertwined in one place, kind of like how we have it now, where you can see all the games in one menu, but not to the point where they're so integrated to where an update in one game will break the other one. That was catastrophic, and I do think that has 100% been resolved thanks to what we saw behind the scenes. But if there's any other changes that I may have missed for this video, or things that maybe you want to know more about and I just forgot about, but I can totally respond to and answer in an upcoming video, let me know all your feedback down below in the comments. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the 20 or so, probably more, huge changes that are in Warzone 2, which really does separate this experience from Warzone 1? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.